So even though I look 18, I turned 25 a few weeks ago. Thank you. And my parents reminded me that I was born on Easter Sunday and the New York Yankees opening day. The former was a day of religious observation for my mother, and the latter for my father. And that's not their only difference. My mother's a Brazilian artist, and my dad's a Jewish baker. When my mom was a teenager, she was recruited to be a background dancer in a discotheque. Teenager. In a disco lesson, my dad was told he had no rhythm, but great style. As Jewzillions, my brother and I grew up learning the samba with chutzpah. But you know what, I joke about it now, but I grew up a bit uncomfortable in my own skin. Over 30 languages spoken in my high school. Diversity was a proud feature of our community, but I wasn't yet ready to value it in my own experience. Despite the various differences in my family, one major commonality was my parents' emphasis on the importance of education. And my education would soon become a pursuit to understand my identity. One of my most meaningful moments as a college student came outside of the classroom and the country. During a study abroad trip, I was riding through the hills of El Salvador on a packed, humid bus. You can feel it. I can feel it in this. That did not stop our group, though, from discussing some of the deeper questions that life brings young people's way. I mean, we were in the middle of this heated discussion about what we were going to do after we graduated, and then all of a sudden my guide interrupted, put her bony finger in my face and said, if you really want to be a better global citizen, serve the US. And so with that advice, I decided I was going to teach for America. I was going to stand and deliver. But then I went into teaching to battle the achievement gap and realized I was going to fight the copy machine instead. Yeah, my fantasies of inspiring my kids turned into me in an empty field, much like Michael Bolton from Office Space, destroying that copy machine. I mean, Vernon, Shahara, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I soon discovered that the best answers to my big questions were small actions. As many of us in this room, I took Mother Teresa's advice to heart. We can do no great things, only small things with great love. And so I taught 6th grade math in Red Hook, and I taught my kids how to decipher between a diameter and a radius with a Drake song. If you have a D, here's what you do. Just split it into 2. You can see where I got my rhythm from. I taught my smallest kid to become big by looking a person in the eye when he shook hands with someone. And I taught my basketball team to tally their hustle plays instead of their points. However, none of these good deeds could fully suppress the tug of war that I was going through between being a white guy and something else entirely. I mean, I could see it in their eyes. As I was teaching algebra, they were doing addition. Mr. Stolz raps, plus can ball, and is only friends with the black people at school, equals a white guy? Didn't they know that I was best friends with people who looked different than me and acted different than me growing up? And didn't they know that when my brother checked white on surveys growing up, I checked other? I don't think they did. But they must have, because I felt wholly other at first. But as trust grew, I started to see those misinterpretations change. I mean, Lanasia's smile and Omar's tears, Bree's confidence and Javon's gentleness. Who cares that these are small things? Great love is changing us. My perception's changed. I hug my students wholeheartedly even when they can't afford deodorant. Jayana isn't a crack baby. She's witty, competitive, and is going to win. And I hold hands with the shy kids on field trips. But our trust was threatened recently. A friend offered to drive me home from work, and I asked to be dropped off near Patchen Avenue, where I play basketball every week. We came up to a familiar intersection, and I told him to drop me off. Even with Google Maps, I ended up getting lost, and I ended up walking in the wrong direction. And as I was fighting to figure out where I was, all of a sudden, the guy sized me up, and he said, "Yo, look at this white boy." I just kept walking, but I was shook up. I was scared, and I was mad, and I was confused. I got home later, though, and I told my roommate how I responded. I wrote a poem on my phone. Racing against racism. I now see our competition as serendipity. When struck, I choose to target the ignorance and never the ethnicity. I want to wrap my story in a bow. I want to sum it all up in a few pages. But in the pursuit of understanding my identity, I've been challenged and comforted by the humility it takes to be a student, rough drafts and all. My mom still got more rhythm than my dad. Jayana can still win. And I'll continue to find myself as I lose myself in the service of others. Thank you.